Nothing's official yet. No announcement, no cryptic insider tweet. But there's a kind of silence hanging over Tampa Bay, the heavy kind. The kind that comes before a decision everyone can feel. Even if nobody's saying it out loud, something's shifting under the surface here. And if you've been following this team long enough, you can tell it's that quiet kind of change that doesn't shout. It just lingers. Kenyon Sadiq, that name's been floating around for months now. First as a whisper, then a guess on some mock drafts, and now it's starting to sound like the real thing. And every time you hear it, it fits a little better. Not because it's the perfect pick, but because it carries a different kind of energy, the kind that changes the whole tone of an offense. Sadiq's the kind of prospect who seems to carry his own storyline. A tight end who was built for the chaos across the middle, that space where passes are tight, hits are brutal, and those 2 seconds between snap and catch stretch longer than normal time. He's the kind of target who can turn a simple 5-yard throw into a problem for a defense, not because he's flashy fast, but because he sees the field like he's playing in slow motion. And it's wild to think that the next phase of Tampa Bay's offensive reset might not be a wideout, not a speed back, but a 6'3", 245-pound tight end with ice in his vein. For months now, the talk around town's been the same. The Bucs offense lost its spark. Not because of talent, not because of names, but because the rhythm fell apart. That bridge between the old and the new, between structure and instinct, has been missing. There are still flashes of that 2020 precision, that calm ruthlessness, but time doesn't let you live off memories forever. And maybe that's where Sadiq comes in. He's not just a tactical addition, he's a language update. A reminder that the game's evolving and Tampa better evolve with it. Before the X's and O's, you gotta feel the moment. Every Bucs fan knows last year's 8-9 wasn't your typical collapse. It had that smell, that kind of something's off vibe. The team started strong, gritty, even promising, but late in the year, the gas ran out. Nobody to turn 3rd and 6 into something easy. Nobody who could break the script when the playbook hit a wall. And funny enough, that's exactly what a tight end like Sadiq does. A few weeks ago, he felt out of reach. Tampa was projected late in the first round until the wheels came off. Now, sitting at no 15, that window's cracked open again. Not top of the board, but not no man's land either. That's the kind of pick that can shape the next decade. Mel Kiper Jr., in that classic cold ESPN tone, said what a lot of Bucs fans have been thinking. Sadiq to Tampa makes sense. But what he calls a technical fit might go deeper than that. Sadiq's the kind of player who changes how an offense breathes. 51 catches, 560 yards, 8 touchdowns at Oregon last season. The numbers don't tell the whole story. His impacts in the plays he shouldn't have made, the high balls he somehow pulled down, the blocks that were already lost until he saved them in a blink. There's something instinctive about the way he plays, like his body reads the game before his mind does. And that's exactly what Tampa's been missing. Right now, this offense is a mosaic of generations. Baker Mayfield's still got that fire. Chris Godwin remains the steady hand. Emeka Egbuka flashed star potential in 2025, but the line between potential and consistency still razor thin. And in a system where defenses already know the script, mid-range passes, predictable routes, a versatile tight end completely redraws the field, opens the middle, forces linebackers to drop, gives the run game breathing room. And most importantly, it plants doubt, and doubt in football is oxygen. Cade Ayton did his job, no question. But he was reliable, not transformative. That's the gap Sadiq fills. He's not just a piece, he's the anchor. It's almost poetic. Sadiq comes from Oregon, a program that plays fearless football. Under Dan Lanning, he grew in a system that mixes explosion with discipline. 3 seasons, a 38-5 record, 2 playoff runs. That's not luck, that's culture. And when a team like Tampa's in transition, culture might matter more than stopwatch numbers. Speaking of that, Sadiq's rumored 4.45 40 time has been turning heads. But in Tampa, the number itself doesn't matter. What counts is what happens after the hit, after contact. After the play breaks down, that's where he shines. Behind closed doors, some folks have quietly admitted it. Tampa's offense stopped being scary. Teams respect it, but they don't fear it. And the difference between respect and fear wins championships. Sadiq brings that fear back, not by scoring 15 touchdowns, but by changing defensive posture, making safeties hesitate, forcing coordinators to throw in that extra nickel. And once that happens, the whole field opens up. Heading into 2026, the Bucs don't just need another guy. They need a spark, an emotional jolt. And that's why this potential draft pick feels bigger than just football. Here's something few talk about. Kenyon Sadiq's from Idaho Falls. That's not exactly a football factory. That's a place where every inch is earned, and that grind shows up in the way he plays. Tampa needs that energy badly. When this team won the Super Bowl back in 2020, they played like every yard mattered. No shortcuts, no panic, just trust. The past few seasons, though, that heartbeat's been faint. Sadiq.com and collected feels like the kind of player who knows how to bring that pulse back. He doesn't chase validation, he just moves forward. Over the next few months, his name's gonna be everywhere. The combine, the interviews, the comparisons, the whole circus. But there's a difference between hype and fit. And right now, Tampa seems ready to align both. The question is, will they trust that gut feeling? Drafts are full of promises. It's easy to chase the right guy on paper, but sometimes you just gotta go with instinct. And this feels like one of those times. Kenyon Sadiq's not just talent, he's a reset button. A reminder that football's built on confidence, not math. And as this offseason drags on, there's that quiet buzz, almost poetic, almost electric, that Tampa Bay is about to make a choice that won't just be smart. It'll mean something. Maybe in a few months, when the commissioner calls his name, there'll be a half second of silence in the stadium. Not confusion, just everyone realizing, all at once, that something's changing. And maybe, deep down, they'll know that silence is what a real restart sounds like. The buzz around this prediction, Sadiq to the Bucs, is still low-key. Analysts are talking, fans are chatting, but it's a curious kind of calm. No hype, just anticipation. Maybe because nobody knows exactly what to expect, or maybe because Bucs fans have learned the hard way not to trust things that sound too easy. Still, under all that chatter, there's something simple: hope. Not the naive kind, the grounded kind, the kind that shows up when something just feels right. When Mel Kiper talks about fit, he's not just describing a player, he's describing a whole A-space Tampa Bay hasn't filled since this offense stopped scaring people. The stats don't show how badly the Bucs struggled on third and shorts, how often Mayfield had to improvise without a safety net, how many broken routes ended with a punt that killed the vibe. Sadiq doesn't fix everything, but he gives you an outlet. Bucs fans miss that. A player who changes the game's temperature, the kind that makes Raymond James hold its breath when he touches the ball, that here we go energy. That kind of player doesn't just rack up yards, he changes moods. And in Tampa, moods matter. Inside the building, the talk's more practical. The staff knows the foundation's solid but predictable. Godwin's the balance, Egbuka's the spark, Irving's the outlet. But in between, there's a hole, someone to control the middle. Kenyon Sadiq isn't a luxury, he's a necessity. There's a type of play Mayfield runs best: short play action, quick release, middle read. It worked when the tight end could separate, but Cade Ayton, solid as he was, never scared safety. Sadiq stretches the field, forces linebackers into tough choices, and once hesitation sets in, boom, the window's open. That single element shifts the entire offense, because now the run game breathes. The defense can't crowd the box. The OC can move pieces around freely, and Mayfield, he gets time. Time. That's Sadiq's biggest gift. Time for Egbuka to grow. Time for Godwin to find his rhythm again. Time for the Bucs offense to rebuild without feeling and players like that don't come around often. There are tight ends who block, tight ends who catch, but very few who make an offense flow. Sadiq's one of them. His body demands respect, but it's the control that impresses. He doesn't move like he's trying to prove something. He moves like he already knows. And for a locker room full of big personalities, that's gold. If the draft unfolds this way, it won't just be another pick. It'll quietly redefine Tampa's offense. Because it's not about adding another name, it's about shifting the entire axis of the attack. For years, the Buccaneers have been a wide receiver team. Evans, Godwin, now Egbuka. Sideline kings. Deep threats. Highlights. But the modern NFL's winning inside, not outside. The middle of the field's where games are won now. And that's where Sadiq becomes the nightmare Kiper talked about. Not because of stats, because of unpredictability. When a tight end can line up in the slot, block in motion, and still run a post-up, the seam defenses can't guess. And confusion kills defenses faster than speed ever will. That's what Tampa's been missing. Change doesn't always come with noise. Sometimes it happens in a quiet room on draft night, with a few nods that mean everything. You can picture it. The GM, the coaches, the scouts, watching tape, feeling that same gut pull. The Oregon kid's got something, not just talent, presence, the kind of presence that shifts the locker room the second he walks in. Doesn't need to talk loud, just plays loud. If it happens, it could put Tampa right back on track. A younger, tougher, more fluid offense. A new face for a new era. Because the draft's a mirror, it shows you who you are as much as who you pick. If the Buccaneers pull the trigger on Kenyon Sadiq, the message will be clear. This team finally gets that the future isn't about replacing the past, it's about learning from it. The Bucs' power was never just talent, it was identity. It was walking into a stadium and making opponents nervous before kickoff. That feeling's been gone for a while. Wins came, sure, but they didn't hit the same. Sadiq doesn't just bring yards, he brings memory. A reminder that Tampa's best offense always carried a little fear with it. And funny enough, a kid from Idaho might be the one to bring that back. He's not your typical Florida fit, but the mentality matches, both built on proving people wrong. That's the kind of connection that turns a prospect into a symbol. In camp, the coaches will see it, the clean blocking, the smooth routes, the poise under pressure, but it won't be the tape that sells them. It'll be the look in his eyes. That same look that kept him patient at Oregon, sharing reps, grinding, waiting for his moment, and then owning it. That's how new eras start. If Sadiq's the pick, the impact will go beyond the field. The locker room needs a guy like that, a bridge between generations. And maybe that's what Tampa's been missing all along. Emotional chemistry, talent's there, the scheme's there, but the heartbeat's been off. A versatile, grounded tight end could fix that more than any stat line ever could. And someday, looking back, we might realize that this was the night it all quietly started. Not with fireworks, not with hype, but with one perfectly timed decision. That's the real power of Kenyon Sadiq, giving Tampa Bay's offense something you can't measure, only feel. When he runs his first route at Raymond James, maybe the crowd won't notice right away, but the real fans, the ones who know the game, will. They'll see it the way the offense breathes again, the way the confidence spreads. That's how eras are reborn. In the end, it's not about whether Sadiq's good enough. It's whether Tampa is patient enough to let him become, because the talent's there, the structure's there. What's left is belief and a little guts. The belief that this Bucs offense can once again be a real problem for everyone else. A problem that starts right in the middle of the field, where helmets collide, echoes linger, and games are won. With a tight end who was born for this, Kenyon Sadiq might just be the name that makes Bucs fans love Sundays again. And if this draft goes the way Destiny's been whispering, the next chapter won't start with noise. It'll start with silence. The good kind. The kind that says, "We're back."